Hey guys, welcome back to the Lit Mag Lab podcast. I'm Jazz Marie, aka Vevna Forrow. So previously on the podcast, I was talking about Alien Magazine and just giving an example of a online lit mag that faced closure, right, and has their site up, just going over their guidelines and stuff. I think it is still important to talk about past lit mags and journals or even inactive ones. They are still really good examples of the layout structure, if you're looking to start your own, and things to take in consideration. Again, on this podcast, even in my guidebook, I mentioned a list of reasons why lit magazine journals possibly close or become inactive. So it happens, every year. And yeah, so I just wanted to do one more update episode. I know not everyone likes update episodes or talking about inactive magazines, but I think it is important. And yeah, so you may recall from episode 83, I was discussing Meanjin, and that's Meanjin. And you may recall, last year, right, they had announced closure. However, there's really wonderful news. Obviously, I'm not, from Australia or anything like that, but I think it's still a lot of fun to, again, read different lit mags and journals from different parts of the world. And yeah, again, for those of you unaware, Meanjin, right, is again based out of Australia. So I don't remember if I said this on my podcast somewhere. I possibly did, but I wanted to do a separate episode to mention it because if you came across that episode, then I can just connect this episode possibly to that one, right? So for those of you unaware, Meanjin is based out of Australia again, right? And they've been around for 80 plus years, right? So whenever a lit mag or journal, right, announces closure like that, is very, right, devastating, right? Absolutely. And yeah, for especially anyone who submitted to them or read it or followed it for decades, right? And that's a very, very long time. So yeah, it's great news, right? In February 2026, right, it says here, return to Brisbane. The Queensland University of Technology, QUT, announced that it had acquired Meanjin with the intention to restart publication. The ownership agreement committed to maintaining editorial independence through an independent editorial board. And yeah, so that's really cool. So it looks like it's returning to Brisbane. And yeah, so totally, yeah, I think that's really cool that they were able to do that and to find another home for it, essentially, right? And yeah, I was checking out the Queensland University of Technology, and just poking around. Obviously, I'm not from Australia or anything like that, but it's still really cool. All of the work Meanjin has published, and all of the things on the site. You can listen back to episode 83 and listen to that. I was going over Meanjin, and I think right on chill subs, right, the listing here, right. So yeah, and then there's, I think, yeah, so there's these listings on chill subs for it. But anyways, that's awesome, right? And yeah, so there's this article, I'm going to quote it off here from, it looks like theconversation.com, and it says Meanjin has been resurrected by QUT in a clever move. I know this is several months after the announcement, but I just wanted to plug in an episode stating that. Yeah. So, yeah, the literary journal Meanjin has been resurrected. The 85-year-old journal returned to its origins in Brisbane, where it was founded in 1940 by editor Clem Christensen. Its new home is QUT, where the journal will complement the university's creative writing program. And yeah, it says here, quoting this off of the article, that Angela Glindenman here wrote, it says it could be good timing for QUT to take custody of a national literary treasure. It says a report back then, in that week revealed enrollments in Australia's creative writing programs, including QUTs, are in decline. And could Meanjin be a future draw card, right? And yeah, so then it explains, the closure reasons, right? And back then, and so it's great news that it was resurrected. Yeah, and it goes into what's next for Meanjin, right? So QUT is going to appoint an editorial board to ensure Meanjin's independence and, ensures that the values and standards are maintained. Yeah, so that's great, So I think that's awesome. I just wanted to mention that because maybe I mentioned it briefly in another episode or somewhere else, but I just wanted to plug it in there. And yeah. So again, just a prime example of, lit magazine journals, right? Sometimes they announce closure, but then sometimes they find, in Manjin's case, in some other lit magazine journals cases, right? I mentioned a couple episodes back in Fane, right? And showed you the Nevada Arts Council, for example, right? Some affiliated, lit magazine journals in Nevada that are affiliated with universities and colleges, right, and things like that. So in some cases, there are some lit magazine journals, right, that announce closure or things, like that, and they get picked up by other places, to help sustain them, right, or to reopen them, resurrect them, right, and bring them back. And yeah, that can happen, shortly after, or sometimes it happens, a number of years after the fact, right? And anyways, it's really hard, absolutely running a lit magazine journal, regardless if you have, an affiliation with some university or not, there's a lot of moving parts to it. And yeah, so I just wanted to mention that because I think that's awesome again. And yeah, that they're coming back here. So yeah, in the next episode, so it's not going to be an update episode, but sometimes I like to do some update episodes, and so I will talk about a few other lit magazine journals, ones that have open windows, and some other ones that I came across that I have a list I put together on, yeah, and a few other questions perhaps that I'll cover in the next upcoming weeks or this summer. I'll try to, and yeah, it's yeah, again, I'm temporarily restructuring my lit mag journal, but I'd like to resume things back one day to how they used to be a little bit, perhaps. So temporarily, just because I have a lot of personal things I'm dealing with. So yeah, with my own lit mag, I've gone back to temporary running it solo, just because I have a lot of rather, you could say, very heavy life events and things I'm dealing with personally that I have to really take the time to address solo, and I just need some space and time to do that, for this year at least. And, we'll see about the following and stuff, with Dippity. But yeah, yeah, so it's sometimes that happens, you have some rather heavy things, you're going through, and you just need some time and space solo to things out. I was going to post another episode around that, and discuss some of the things, I mentioned some of it on this podcast, but just a little bit further, maybe, and talking through some things, maybe through a question or something. And yeah, anyways, so that's yeah, that's an update on Meanjin. Just wanted to plug in an episode here on it and state that, yeah. And if you would like to read this article, of course, I put links in the description. And yeah, totally give it a read sometime. I think there are probably a couple other articles on this too out there. And yeah. So bye, yeah. I'm gonna sign off on this episode. Just wanted to connect any updates together and stuff like that. So yeah.